Now, when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, and we have come to worship him. Good morning. Welcome to a short biblical reflection on the Gospel reading from the Gospel according to Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 up to 12. It is for the solemnity of the Epiphany of the Lord. Matthew's Gospel in the great part focuses on the proclamation of the message of the salvation to the Jews, to the descendants of Abraham. However, this universalistic aspect is already stressed here in this second chapter in the story of the wise men coming from the east who have seen the star of Jesus in the east. This universalistic aspect of the salvation Jesus announces later in chapter 8. I tell you, many will come from east and west and sit at the table with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. In the explanation of the story, we could focus on the place where the birth of Jesus happened, Bethlehem, because at the time of Jesus, it didn't meant much. It was insignificant place. And here Matthew is quoting at the center from the prophet Micaiah from chapter 5, verses 1 up to 3. However, Bethlehem of Judea was the place of David's birth. In the prophecy of Micaiah, it is also the place of birth of the future King Messiah. And you, O Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, but from you shall come a ruler who will govern my people Israel. But today I would like just to focus on two aspects. One, the triple repetition of the same expression to worship him, and then the gifts which they offered and how they could also be interpreted within the all passage and other biblical references in the Gospel according to Matthew, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And of course, there is also necessary just only to stress that the wise men in Greek, the word is magoi, which of course it is translated quite often by wise men, magi, we could say intellectuals at the time of Jesus. From origin, many interpret these gifts symbolically. Gold as referring to Jesus' kingship, frankincense as referring to his divinity, and myrrh as referring to his death. In fact, we can just even in the text itself find those references. First, the statement that they were looking for the King of the Jews. This expression, King of the Jews, a part of our story in chapter 2, verse 2, it is found also and only in the Passion narratives and pronounced exclusively by the Gentiles. For example, chapter 27, verse 11, Pilate. Now Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, Are you the king of the Jews? Jesus said, You say so. Then Roman soldiers, and after twisting some thorns into a crown, they put it on his head. They put a reed in his right hand and knelt before him and mocked him, saying, Hail, King of the Jews! Then the inscription placed on the cross. Over his head they put the charge against him, which read, This is Jesus, the King of the Jews. However, a synonymous expression, but not exactly the same, the King now of Israel, it is pronounced by chief priests, the scribes and elders who were mocking Jesus. He saved others. He cannot save himself. He is the King of Israel. Let him come down from the cross and we will believe him. So those references in the Passion narrative to Jesus as the King, they are matching with the recognition and symbolic reading of those gifts as gold as referring to his kingship, as well also embracing together at the same time myrrh as referring to his death, because those pronouncements, apart as I mentioned only in this story of the chapter second, they are only found in the Passion narrative. While identification of frankincense as referring to the divinity of Jesus, it is stressed and proved by the triple repetition of the same verb translating in our text as to worship, that they came to worship Jesus. We find this verb also in other places in the Gospel according to Matthew, and mostly in the aspect of divine worship. There are few instances as referring also to giving reference respect to human beings, because in such cultures as biblical culture, such also ways of reverence were done, as also in our cultures in the past. People could kneel down, fall down in front of human authorities. And this verb, a part of our text in chapter 2, we find later on in the temptation of Jesus. Firstly, Satan asks Jesus, and he said to him, "All this I will give you if you fall down and worship me." And Jesus answers to him, "Away with you, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve only him." Then in chapter 8, a leper is saying to Jesus, "And there was a leper who came to him and knelt before him, saying, Lord, if you choose, you can make me clean." And in chapter 9, a leader of the synagogue, while he was saying these things to them, suddenly a leader of the synagogue came in and knelt before him, saying, "My daughter has just died, but come and lay your hand on her, and she will live." And in chapter 14, the disciples and those who were in the boat worship him, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God," because they were amazed as Jesus could calm the wind, could calm the storm. And the Canaanite woman in chapter 15, but she came and knelt before him, saying, "Lord, help me." And then the risen Christ appears to the disciples. Suddenly, Jesus met with them and said, "Greetings." And they came to him, took hold of his feet, and worshipped him. Even if in those quoted texts, which I color the same verb, it is not translated exactly the same, because we could also translate the same verb in various ways, but that verb appears. We could translate as prostrate, we could translate as worship. In few instances here, it is also translated knelt before him. I don't take those instances lightly as referring in similar way as giving a reverence to human authority, because in my way of understanding in Gospel of Matthew, they have those strong flavor already of stressing the divinity of Jesus and worship of Jesus as divine. With this reading and seeking other places in the Gospel according to Matthew, they were matching with our Gospel, and those instances support also this symbolic reading of those three gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh, as it was firstly proposed by Origen and is supported and used by many others. So I would like to wish you a nice day, a nice reflection of this gospel, because this feast is called the Epiphany, that means the revelation. So those wise men came because Jesus revealed to them was giving this revelation, and because of this revelation they came to worship him. God bless you.